What's going on, everybody? You think the Bikie wars in Australia are slowing down? Think again. Because when a man who tattooed Hell's Angels on his forehead gets kicked out of the club, that's not the end of the story. That's the beginning of a new one, a dangerous one. One written in gold, blood, and betrayal. This is the rise, the fall, and the near-death resurrection of Dayne Brajkovich, Perth's most recognizable outlaw. Let's get into it. The rise. In the gritty underbelly of Perth, Western Australia, one name echoed louder than most. Dayne Brajkovich, 6'2", 220 pounds. 80% of his body covered in ink, each tattoo a vow made in blood. Born in 1979, Dan came up rough. Belmont, East Vic Park, hard neighborhoods with harder rules. His relationship with his father? Toxic. School? A short-lived experiment. And the streets? They were the only teachers he listened to. By his teens, Dayne had already fallen in with one of the most dangerous young criminals in Australia. Tristan Albury, a man police later described as a textbook psychopath. That friendship pulled Dayne deeper into the world of violence, crime, and outlaw brotherhood. But what really hooked him, what truly lit the fuse, was motorcycles, the engines, the freedom. The outlaw mythology that surrounded Bikie culture, and above all, the Hells Angels, a global powerhouse with over 6,000 members across nearly 60 countries. For a young man hungry for power, respect, and belonging, joining the Angels wasn't a dream. It was a destiny. But the Hells Angels don't recruit. They test you. Loyalty, violence, discipline, sacrifice. Dayne proved all four. He wasn't just tough, he was strategic, calculated. A man who understood power and how to hold it. And by 2005, at just 26 years old, he did what most members could only fantasize about. He became the sergeant-at-arms of the Perth chapter, the enforcer, the disciplinarian, the man who kept order with his fists when words failed. Under Dayne, the chapter grew stronger, more organized, more feared. He was respected, he was ruthless, and he was loyal. Completely, absolutely loyal to the red and white. Every tattoo he added to his skin was another declaration of that loyalty. His forehead, Hell's Angels. His head, Sergeant-at-Arms. His neck, 1%. He wasn't just in the club. He was the club. But even the strongest rise eventually hits a turning point. The fall, January 2022. A date that changed everything. Inside the Perth chapter, tensions were boiling. Arguments, power struggles, friction between Dan and senior leaders, including the president, Nick Martin. The cause? Lines being crossed. Rumors spread through Perth's underworld like wildfire. Dan didn't want Angels hanging with rival clubs. There was a party with rebels and gypsy jokers. Cops raided a poolside gathering. Dayne wasn't invited. He lost it. Whether those rumors were true or just bikie gossip didn't matter. The damage was done. One night, inside the clubhouse, everything detonated. Witnesses say voices were raised, threats tossed, and then fists flew. Dayne, furious, betrayed, humiliated, was reportedly punched by the chapter president. That moment was the breaking point. Within days, the verdict was passed. Dayne Brajkovich, expelled. No hearing, no appeal, no mercy. His colors stripped, his brothers gone. His identity shattered. And in the Bikie world, expulsion isn't a demotion, it's a death sentence. Your former brothers become potential executioners. Your old allies turn into shadows, watching from across car parks. And your name becomes a target. When Dan walked out of the clubhouse for the last time, he wasn't the sergeant-at-arms anymore. He was alone, and in the outlaw world, alone means vulnerable. The hit December 2023, Kings Park and Botanic Garden. 10,000 people, lights, music, a Ministry of Sound concert, and in the middle of it all, Dayne Brajkovich, blending into the crowd as much as a man covered in tattoos can. Then at 9:50 p.m., the crowd parted just enough for death to slip through. A blade flashed in the strobe lights, a hand lunged, and Dan felt fire rip across his throat. Blood poured, people screamed, and the attacker vanished into the chaos like smoke. Dana staggered, clutching his neck, feeling his life leaking through his fingers. The cut missed his jugular by millimeters, pure luck or fate, depending on who you ask. A doctor in the crowd saved his life on the spot. Police rushed in. Detectives made statements. Raids followed. 5 arrests were made. The message was clear. This wasn't random. This was payback. A hit ordered by the club he once enforced. And as Dan recovered in Royal Perth Hospital, neck stitched, finger bandaged from blocking the blade, the cameras swarmed. Reporters shouted, "Do you know who did it? Are you scared? Will you retaliate?" Dana didn't flinch. "I asked for it. I got it. That's the game." A sentence that told the world everything and nothing. The man behind the ink. To the public, Dan is a spectacle. The tattoos, the gold, the swagger, the violence. He's been seen wearing over $300,000 worth of jewelry, a chain worth $216,000, an absurdly expensive bracelet, and 16 gold rings he calls his legal knuckle dusters. He's also been dragged through court for violating anti-insignia laws, showing up in designer clothes and sunglasses like he was walking into a fashion show instead of a hearing. Behind him, always, is his wife Genta, loyal, quiet, unshaken. But for all the bling and bravado, Danny's past isn't something he can simply leave behind. People still whisper about the Nick Martin bar fight, the CCTV footage, the punches, and the fact that just 2 weeks later, Martin was assassinated by a professional sniper at a crowded racetrack. Dana wasn't charged. Most likely had nothing to do with it. But the timing? The optics? Deadly. And in the Bikie world, perception is often more dangerous than truth. Because once a rumor starts rolling downhill, it becomes its own kind of weapon, one you can't outrun, outfight, or outshoot. And for Dan, the rumors only grew. The future. So what now? Danny says he's out. No more gangs, no more colors. Just property management and quiet living. But can a man who tattooed Hell's Angels across his forehead ever truly walk away? The outlaw world doesn't forgive. It doesn't forget. And it doesn't let go. Maybe Dan can outrun the past. Maybe he can't. But one thing's for sure. He's still breathing. He's still standing. And in his world, that alone makes him a threat. The next chapter, it's coming. It's inevitable. And it could be explosive. Very explosive. Stay tuned, folks. Stay very tuned.